No, they're gonna have it. Nope. Trick or treat.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We expect the board to come out in about 5 minutes, and so just wanted to talk a little bit about the process this evening. First of all, we'd like to keep our aisles as open as we can, so if you are kind of bunched up in a clump, if you can kind of spread out and get against the wall. Secondly, once the board comes out, they'll gavel in, and then public comment will begin at that point. What's going to happen is the board is going to call groups of 5. So if you're number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, board president will say, okay, speaker numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, come on up, and you'll stand right over there by the officer and the lady in the green dress. Once we get through that, then the board president will say, now we'll have 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and we'll do the same thing. Each speaker will have 1 minute to speak due to the number of speakers that we have signed up tonight. And so we'll just hold tight. In about 4 or 5 minutes, we'll see the board coming out. And thank you all for being here tonight.
Board of Trustees are reconvening into open session. No action has been taken during executive session. The time return is 7:01 p.m. All right, we'll move on to item number 3, which is the open forum public comment portion of our meeting. The next item on our agenda is the public comment period. This is a time for the citizens, staff, parents, or students to provide their comments to the board. The public comment item on tonight's agenda permits members of the public to speak only regarding posted agenda items. Before we begin, I will remind our audience members of the board's procedures for handling public comment on agenda items. Anyone who wanted to speak during the public comment portion of this meeting was required to sign up by 12 noon on the day of the meeting and list the agenda item or items they wish to address. All members of the audience are expected to remain quiet and listen courteously. Any member of the audience disrupting the meeting may be asked to leave. When necessary, for effective meeting management or to accommodate large numbers of individuals wishing to address the board, I, as a presiding officer, may make adjustments to public comment procedures in accordance with board policy BED local. This evening, due to the number of speakers who have signed up, each public comment speaker will be allowed to speak up to 1 minute. Members of the public who need to address the board through a translator will be given up to 2 minutes total to address the board. Please keep your comments civil and courteous. There are children present this evening. Please also avoid using profanity and refrain from making personal attacks on others during your opportunity to speak. Please avoid calling out any individual, student, staff, or board member by name. Finally, we ask that you not discuss students who are not your own child. If a speaker is seeking board resolution for a specific complaint, the concern should be addressed through the district's grievance policy. District policy DGBA has been established for addressing employee complaints. Policy FNG is the avenue for filing parent complaints, and policy GF addresses community member complaints. Grievance forms can be obtained at any campus administration office or in the central administration office. The Board of Trustees received 48 participation forms for this meeting. We have moved all our student speakers to the front of the list. In order to accommodate all of our speakers tonight, we are going to ask you to line up in groups of 5. Would speakers 1 through 5 please come forward to line up? First speaker, Anya Bose, please begin.
Hello, my name is Anya Bose, and I'm a 6th grade student at Oak Run Middle School. I love reading so much. It's my favorite thing to do. When I was in 5th grade, the thing I was most excited for about middle school was the library. I came from a small school with a small library and couldn't wait for the larger one, but now I have no access to it. When I found out the library was closed, I was upset, and so were my friends, but we were also shocked. There are so many books I want to read, but now I can't due to the closing of the library. The library was always a quiet place so I could feel calm. Sadly, I do not have this anymore. One day, people were telling us that we should read more and that our generation doesn't read enough. But the next day, the library was shut and nobody could read. A lot of people I know don't have books at home, or other people have read all the books they own. And I know people are thinking that we could just go to the public library, but the library is not as convenient for students to access independently. The library is an amazing space that I think should be open to students. I really hope you guys choose to reopen the library. Thank you for your time.
I need to remind the audience that you are not to disrupt this meeting. This is a warning to anyone who continues to disrupt this meeting. you will be asked to leave. Anyone who is asked to leave and does not comply will be escorted from the meeting. This is the final warning for everyone in the audience. Ms. Amelia Becker, please approach.
My name is Amelia Becker, and I am an 8th grade student at Oak Grove Middle School. I'm also a library aide. Closing libraries has made a negative impact on both the teachers and students in our school. There may be some kids in our school whose only access to books is through the school library. Our generation is constantly ridiculed for being glued to our phones and for spending too much time on devices. The resources within our library were a way to take our eyes off our iPads and indulge ourselves in a good book. It's difficult to fathom that this experience is being taken away, but it has been. As a student, there's a certain level of trust I have with my school system to provide me with the resources I need to grow. This policy is not only failing to provide those, whatever the regulation should be in order to abide by Senate Bill 13, this is not right. Locking away our books, breaking our trust, is not right. It is doing, by far, more damage than good. Thank you.
Ms. Elise Jones, please approach the dais.
Hello, my name is Elsie Jones. I'm a 7th grader at Oak Run Middle School, and I think the decision to close our libraries to make sure all books are in compliance with SB 13 is not only unnecessary but wrong. In closing our libraries, you are denying students access to books. I myself am a big reader, and most of the books I read come from my school library. So the closure of the library upset me because the decision seemed completely unnecessary. While I understand that there could be books that are inappropriate, there is already a process in place to challenge those books. SB 13 gives parents the ability to remove certain books for their child, while still allowing other students to read it if their parent allows them to. Me and my parents have had many discussions about what I am and not allowed to read, but that might be different from other parents' standards. I think putting parental restrictions on checkouts is the best way to control the books being checked out. Closing the libraries is more harm than good, so I urge the school board to reconsider and allow library services to continue.
All right, Ms. Emma Jean Oakes, please.
Did you know that 2 out of 3 people rely on their school libraries for recreational reading purposes? Around 5,200 kids go to NBISD's secondary schools. That means that 3,450 students cannot read while our libraries are unjustly closed. My name is Imogen Oakes, and I am an 8th grade student library aide at New Braunfels Middle School. I agree that books that are inappropriate for teens to read should be removed from the libraries. I do not believe that our libraries should be closed. I cannot even enter the library to do what I signed up for, which is to serve my school and fellow students as a library aide. In closing our libraries, you have restricted our right to read. This issue is unacceptable and must be resolved.
All right, Jude Mesavos.
I'm Jude Masaros. I see the value of going through the libraries and taking the explicit books out. Yes, it's a small sacrifice for the libraries to be shut down for a little while, but the kids still have access to the books they need for school. This is a good change because children my age and even younger don't need access to this kind of stuff at school. If their parents want them to read these kind of books, that's cool, but that doesn't mean it should be easily accessible for anyone and everyone, especially children with less involved parents who don't know the harm these books can have for them. Thanks for your time. God bless.
All right, Piper Morgan.
Hello, my name is Piper Morgan, and I'm a freshman at New Braunfels High School. I urge you to reopen the libraries immediately. I would like to bring up the Supreme Court case, Board of Education v. PICO, which ruled you cannot restrict the availability of books because you disagree with their ideas and our content. Although this is a temporary closure, it is still a form of censorship because it restricts my access to the books within the library. By closing our libraries, you have violated our constitutional right, freedom of expression. Libraries have always felt like a place I could connect with creators of authors. Whether it's fiction or nonfiction, a book has never not resonated or fascinated me. Librarians have always seemed very magical to me. No matter what, they've always connected with me with the perfect read. I'm so grateful for all our librarians, but especially our own Miss Hunt and Miss Griffin. Once again, I call on you to stop violating our rights and reopen our libraries.
All right, with Mr. Stephen Brockman.
Good evening. I'm Stephen Brockman, and I have the unfortunate experience of following that difficult that experience there. Very proud of these young people that we're all here to have an open debate. This board unanimously passed and revised an EFB policy governing library materials. 2 months later, this same board unanimously voted to suspend library activities, creating a confusing 10 days in the community. No clear guidance has been established by MBISD in regard to how the secondary library materials are being reviewed. Clarity of this standard will go far to ease confusion in the community. I recommend using the MBISD library books selection guide and communicating that standard immediately. And finally, according to the draft minutes of last week's meeting, the motion was made to suspend library activities following 3.5 hours in executive session. This topic is an important one, deserves an open and public debate, and I look forward to hearing that tonight from this dais and hope that we receive a plan of what the path forward looks like. Thank you.
Would speakers 6 through 10 please come forward to line up? Marie Fox, please.
I know she won't be here this evening.
Davy Doles.
Good evening. My name is Davy Doles. I have 2 students at Oak Run Middle School in 6th and 8th grade. My 8th grader is a library aide, and the library has always been his safe space, a place where he feels connected and confident. When we found out last week that the libraries were closed and book fairs canceled, my kids came home angry, disappointed, and heartbroken. My son told me he felt empty, that without the library, school doesn't feel the same. Senate Bill 13 was meant to make libraries more transparent, not to close their doors. Those choices were made here, and they've left our students confused and disheartened. Our librarians are trained professionals who already follow strict district and state guidelines. They deserve our trust, as do our students. My family believes in freedom of choice and that the right of parents to decide what's best for their own children, not to limit what others' children can read and learn. Please reopen our libraries. Trust our librarians and give our kids back their safe spaces, places that spark curiosity, creativity, and confidence. Thank you.
Kristen May.
Kirsten,
Sorry.
I am a secondary NBISD teacher, and I want to share how the temporary library suspension has impacted our students. By Tuesday morning, I can't. My students had a lot of questions that I was not prepared to answer. Why would they want us not to read? If the district says a book is dangerous, does that mean it gives you paper cuts? If I don't have books at home, what can I read? Are we even allowed to read anymore? What did we do wrong? My students were asking thoughtful, critical questions, exactly what the TEKS trained them to do. But right now they're learning a new lesson that books are something to fear and curiosity can be punished. Our students deserve better. I ask that you not only lift the suspension and give students back their right to read, but this time, if not, you explain to them why they can't have their books. Thank you.
Brittany Tucker.
Hi, I am a parent of 2 NBISD students. First, I want to thank the board for calling this special meeting and for taking the time to listen to the concerns of students, parents, and community members. And an extra thanks to each of you that took the time to speak with me on the phone this week. I'm here tonight to urge the board to take a reasonable action and to reopen our secondary libraries and to restore full access to the students they serve. Suspending library access is not required to comply with Senate Bill 13. The law requires districts to review library materials, but it does not specify how that review must occur. Closing libraries was entirely a local decision, not a state mandate. We can meet the requirements of Senate Bill 13 while keeping our libraries open and continuing to serve students who depend on them for reading, research, study space, IEP accommodations, and safe environments. Library services are essential to upholding our district's core value, every student, every day. At a time when national literacy rates are falling, with 1/3 of 8th graders reading below basic level, removing access to books sends the wrong message. It tells students that reading is expendable when it should be at the very center of their education.
You exceeded your time allotted. Thank you. Yes, could, before I call Ms. Izzy Mason up, could number 11 through 15 approach, please? And now Ms. Izzy Mason, please.
Hello, my name's Izzy Mason. I have 2 kids currently enrolled in NBISD schools. I am very upset that the students have lost access to the library and believe that access should be restored immediately. If not, it will be to the detriment of our kids and their education. According to the board manual policy, students' First Amendment rights are implicated by the removal of books from the shelves of a school library, and states that you are only allowed to remove a book if it's deemed pervasively vulgar based on their educational suitability. In taking away the whole library, you didn't just remove some books you found offensive, you removed all the books. This means you clearly removed many, many more books than fall underneath what you saw as pervasively vulgar, and therefore violated your own board policy, the ruling of Board of Education versus PICO, and the manual's own words, the students' First Amendment rights. Also, according to Title 13.1.4a, Rule 4.2, this process should have a reasonable timeline. We've been given no timeline as to when our kids will have access to the library again. My kids will be fine during the lack of this access to the library because we have books in our home. We have money to buy books and a car to take us to the public library. Just within 1 or 2 streets of my home, I can name 5 families though that do not have access to that. These kids deserve as much access to books and learning materials as mine. Thank you.
Ms. Lynn McCord. Okay. Ty Barrett.
Thank you for serving on the board and for the time and care that you dedicate to our community. I ask you to please reconsider your decision. Closing the libraries is an extreme measure and it's not the right solution for our schools. I understand and respect the concerns that some parents have about the content that could be available in the libraries, but we already have a system in place to address those concerns. Parents can review, monitor, and even restrict what their own children check out, and that's how it should be. Parents guiding their own families, not limiting access for everyone. I'm the father of 2 boys in NBISD, and our family, we take responsibility for what our children learn. We have conversations about what it is that's appropriate for them and for our family. And I believe that other families should have that same freedom. I think we should trust the parents and not have that burden fall on the students. So please choose to reopen our libraries and support both parental choice and the educational opportunity. Again, I want to thank you for listening and for the service. I know that you don't make these decisions lightly.
Jed Walker.
Thank you for your time. I wish you had experienced the anguish in my daughter's face the other night when she told us the library was going to close. That was and still is the real pain that you are inflicting on every student every day. The school library is not just a room, it's not just a collection of books, it's a community space, it's a refuge for our children, our most important citizens. The district's motto, right? Every student, every day. This action says no student, no day. The district's motto right up here, engage, empower, learn, and yet this is disengaging. This is disempowering, and this is suppressing learning. It's an overextension of the law. It ignores parental and student input. It laws the amazing abilities of our school librarians, and it's a decision made for all by a few. So to paraphrase Luke 11:52, woe to you administrators, for you have taken away the key to knowledge and you have hindered those who would enter. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Bethany Green.
Good evening. My name is Bethany Green and I have 2 students attending NBISD schools. Thank you for serving the students of our district as board members. I realize the state has put you in a difficult position with SB 13, but I believe that closing all the middle and high school libraries was too drastic of a move. It was alarming for me as a parent to get an email that said my student must return her library books immediately. My middle schooler was really disappointed that she had to return her Lemony Snicket book before she was finished with it. We know SB 13 applies throughout the state of Texas, but we haven't seen all school districts in Texas close their libraries. Books that are marked for removal from the library should be able to be removed from circulation as they are returned. And speaking of removing books from the library, I'd like to request that a list of these books or other materials be made available to the public and that there be a process for appealing the removal of specific books. Language in SB 13 requiring the removal of content that is, quote, grossly offensive language that is considered a public nuisance or is, quote, utterly without redeeming social value for minors is open to many different interpretations.
Before I ask the next speaker, would speakers 16 through 20 please come forward? And then Bill Lewis. No. Michelle Sangerhausen.
Yes, sir. You got it. So I'm just here to basically tell you that I support the board. I think the board is doing this for a reason. May not be clear to everybody, but I do believe that you're following along your guidelines with SB 13. I think that you are trying to empower the parents at this point to take a look at what books are in our schools. So I think that's a good thing. I understand that not everybody agrees with that. I think that the stewardship of what you're doing is necessary. I believe that every family is different, every child is different of the same age, and not everybody is equipped to handle some of the books that I've investigated in the school district. Some of them made me sick to my stomach when I started reading them, and I don't think that should be in a middle school. So that's my opinion on it, and I've done some research. And I know it's not popular, and I know that y'all are in a tough position. I think that your leadership is awesome, wonderful, and I think you're doing a hard job, and you don't get paid for it. So I think you, I appreciate you. I do. Thank you.
Sheila Pattison.
Yes. Hi, I'm Sheila Pattison. My youngest Luke is a NBHS 9th grader. My family asks that you open the libraries and champion the standards of this diverse community, including the quiet majority, the traditional conservatives, the independents, the LULAC members, the old hippies, the LBGT community, and the MLK marchers. The books and libraries were a lifeline to my nerdy kids in middle school. They especially love the Warrior Cat series. It was my 6th grader Luke's GT passion project, and Luke says to tell you to please don't ban the Warrior Cats books, or any books if you can. The great librarian at Oak Run deeply understands our kids and the social value and meaning that books have for our most vulnerable children. There are evils in this world. Many girls experience sexual assault and coercion. Banning books does not make that disappear. Books instead empower. My husband and I are old Gen Xers, and we raise our kids to have strong values and arm them to recognize the evils and to stand up against them. Y'all do the same. Thank you.
Mary Hannah Farmer.
Good evening. I'm Hannah Farmer, a concerned citizen. I'm concerned about the closure of school libraries and believe it sets a dangerous precedent in the area. Local censors often claim that certain books aren't even allowed in prisons and thus should not be in schools. But I argue that prisons and schools have vastly different missions. Prisoners have limited rights for a reason, while case law shows that students do have First Amendment rights. Do we really want to treat our students the same as prisoners? As of last week, prisoners now have greater information access than our secondary students in New Braunfels, and I think that's a dangerous precedent. Let's instead come together, despite our different opinions, and celebrate whenever a young person engages with a book, period. Our students deserve access to a broad range of literature, and we've got to trust our professionally trained school librarians. Thank you all.
Betsy Latico. Oh, all right. Before Ms. Pruitt, oh, she's there. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Oh, she must not have heard you.
Right. Sorry.
Oh.
She's not here.
She's not speaking.
She's not here. Okay. Could we have speakers 21 through 25 line up on the side, please? All right, Ms. Pruitt, you're.
Kids need libraries, period. Libraries are not just a space for books, but places students can go to form communities, share ideas, and learn new things. You have chosen to take that place away for thousands of students. We are lucky in NBISD because all of our librarians have their master's degrees, and they create and maintain these spaces for our students. I trust them to do their jobs, and I hope you will too. I also trust my child to read books that I allow them to read, and I will have discussions with them about what those books are, like any parent should. It should be our choice as parents, not yours. There are already safeguards in place, like the Destiny Parent Portal, for parents to make their choices known and have them enforced in our libraries. In our city's rivalry between NBISD and Comal ISD, right now, Comal is winning. They are supporting their students, supporting their librarians, while keeping their libraries open. And as a unicorn myself, that's embarrassing. I understand that you have laws to follow, but this seems extreme. Since I had to sign a permission slip for my child to see the nurse, another permission slip to see the counselor, we should at least have one for libraries.
I need Raul Bose. Becky Stick. Katie Agnew.
That's me. Hi, I have 2 students in NBISD. We have a system in our home where when my children want to read a new book, they bring me the title, I research it, and then I deem whether or not it's appropriate. Even if I didn't trust my children, which I do, I get an email every time they check something out from the library, so I know exactly what they're reading at all times. The library is more than a room that holds books. It's a classroom, a study space, and a meeting space. By closing the libraries, you have unnecessarily hindered daily school operations. You have diminished learning opportunities for our students, and you have trampled on my parental rights to decide what is best for my children. Please reopen the libraries. Thank you.
Joey Lynn Massaros.
Thank you. Before my time begins, I'd like to read an excerpt from a book that I think parents should have a chance to take their children out. 1 minute. Okay. I'm reading Identical, which is at Long Creek and New Braunfels High School. Daddy needs something from my girl, my sweet Rose. Will you give it to me? Then he opened the snaps on the fly of his flannel pajamas. It stood up, stiff as a stalagmite. See how much Daddy loves you? Show me that you love him too. Touch it. That's right, his voice rocked in rhythm with his body. Oh yes, Kaylee loves me, Daddy said as he finished, her hands sticky with icing. Kaylee pleaded, what's the matter, Daddy? Didn't I love you good enough? This was a demon. His attack was brutal, bloody, worthless, except for a vicious shut the F up at her pitiful scream for him to please stop. Doggy style, Daddy on top. His photographs appeared in magazines for the pleasure of pedophiles. Daddy had been back for lollipop lickings a few times. He lifted up her nightgown, coaxed her legs apart. Don't be afraid, this won't hurt. You'll like it, I promise, as he kissed all the way down to her naked V. My heart yells, no effing way, but my brain, the part that understands my daddy, says, please, sir, punish me more. Leather snaps against my skin. This new game is a sick thing, but I think I love it and want to play again. This book is banned by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for inmates, but is available to our children. Thank you all for doing the right thing.
I need to remind everybody, there will be no public outbursts during this meeting or disruption. This is a warning. Next time I observe somebody, I'm going to have them excused from this room. Clarissa, before Clarissa comes up, could we have speakers 26 through 30 please come up? And then if Clarissa DeSanto is here, she's not here, okay. All right, Amy Payne.
Hi, thank you for listening. What does book banning and closing libraries do? It undermines the expertise of trained, certified, university degree-holding administration, librarians, and educators, some even with masters or doctorates. It undermines the systems put in place and overseen by these educated, trained individuals who process and place books within libraries. It also erases culture, history, people, and learning of coping skills, and mostly, more importantly to me, delays and frustrates the path to critical thinking skills. Banning books and pressuring libraries with various acts only gives breath to low expectation education theory. Demand less, you get less. I'm here to support NBISD and high excellence education. Demand high expectations, get good returns, don't settle for less. The constant micromanaging of college-educated trained professionals teaching our kids chips away at the very core of their desire to keep in the daily grind of educating these kids. No one in any job wants to be micromanaged. The entire book banning, closed libraries, thank you.
Thank you. Kathleen
Argetta. You're good, you're good. All right, I'm here tonight to respectfully ask that we reconsider the decision to keep our school library closed. I understand the intent of Senate Bill 13 to ensure our libraries remain free of harmful or indecent material. As a parent and an educator, I support that goal, but closing the library entirely goes too far. For many students, the library was the only place they could explore freely, find books, or simply feel safe and seen. Now that space and that opportunity is gone. Research shows that students who read at least 15 minutes a day with access and choice make significant gains in reading and comprehension. When students lose access to books, they lose growth, and students with dyslexia or a few books at home are hit the hardest. We don't have to choose between compliance and access. We can do both. Let's reopen the library, review materials transparently, and give parents the tools to guide their own children without taking access away from everyone else. Closing the library doesn't protect students, it limits them. Let's protect both our values and our children's right to read.
Chase Taylor.
Good evening. I was going to read some excerpts. There's some children around, and frankly, when I read them to do my research for this, it hurt my spirit. And you know, I don't feel right doing that explicitly with children in the room, but the types of books that these trained professional librarians that are being touted here tonight allow in these libraries that has got us to this point to take these extreme measures are books like Boy Toy, which is written from the perspective of a 12-year-old student who's being molested by his teacher. And it goes into graphic detail over and over and over about their sexual exploits. More so graduating to more and more fetish-like content. There's no redeeming quality to this. I commend y'all for having a backbone and standing up. The reason the state has to keep stepping in and banning cell phones in schools, boards are not doing it. You parents are not doing it. You teachers are not doing it. So I want to commend y'all and say that the majority stand with you. That's why you were elected. Thank you very much.
James Bryant.
My name is Jimmy Bryant. I served this district as a social studies teacher and coach from 2010 to 22. My wife, Kristen, is a respected teacher at Oak Run, and my son is at New Braunfels High School. I'm a combat veteran serving the Army for 8 years from 99 to 2007. I'm speaking tonight because I can't stay silent while our school libraries are being closed, supposedly because of inappropriate material. My question is simple. Who decides what's inappropriate? Who gave them that authority and their credentials? Every child learns differently. Some 6th graders read at a college level, some 8th graders read at an elementary level. Do these reviewers know how to support both ends of the spectrum? Or are they simply judging the books by their covers, or worse, by their politics? We already have professionals trained for this exact responsibility. They're called librarians, and undermining them along with the trust and respect that public education depends on. History gives us a warning in the 1930s. Fascist regimes began banning and burning books, claiming they were protecting children and culture from dangerous ideas. What they were really doing was silencing voices, erasing knowledge, and controlling thought. That's how censorship starts, with fear.
All right, would speakers 31 through 35 please approach over here, and Catherine Jones.
Hello, good evening. My name is Catherine Jones. I am an NBISD elementary reading teacher and parent of 2 NBISD students, a 7th and a 5th grader. I am passionate about reopening the library because I work every day with students who struggle to read, to feel confident in their reading, and to fall in love with books. And one of the best ways I have found to get students to love reading is through access to a variety of books. I believe that this is something up until last week that the district would say that they agree with. However, the decision last week to remove access to libraries to all secondary schools is a slap in the face to every reading teacher and librarian in this district. excuse me. You have a process in place that is already aligned with SB 13 and gives parents access to restrict books or remove books that might be deemed inappropriate. The decision last week was an overcompensation and needs to be reversed tonight. Finally, I believe every board member owes every NBISD librarian and every secondary reading teacher, language arts teacher, an apology for the negative impact this has had on their classrooms. Thank you.
All right, Elizabeth Hurlitz-Cortez.
It's me. Good evening. I'm a parent with children at Long Creek High School and New Braunfels Middle School. We understand this law isn't optional. Compliance is required. But how the district complies is still a choice. That process should have public oversight, transparency, and participation from the families it affects. If this is the route lawmakers have chosen, then the real solution isn't silence. It's giving voice, partnership, and transparency to those SB 13 actually affects. More than 11,000 books are being reviewed, yet no lists of titles, reviewers, or process has been shared. Parents already had the tools before SB 13 to guide what our children read, and we trust our librarians. The books our school librarians chose were never considered obscene before. Why would they be now? Those books are educational, historical, and deeply moral. Titles like Harry Potter, Texas Before the Lone Star, Impossible Escape, and even neutral works like What Does the Governor Do? And books based in scientific fact like How Do Galaxies Form?
You've exceeded the time allotted. Please take your seat. Brant Tucker.
Good evening. My name is Brant Tucker. I have 2 children at NBISD. I want to open up with saying what an incredible process that we have all participated in this evening. This is America at its best, seeing input from the community to those in power say what has happened we do not agree with, and that we get to voice our opinions on this. And I'm in full support of our librarians, of the board, of our parents, and of our community. And closing of this library is not necessary and is irrational, okay? And our freedoms that we have today, allowing us to do this, and we're taking that education, that history from our kids to be able to read where we came from, is only going to be detriment to our future and their future. Thank you.
Robin Sheff? Is it Sheff? Okay.
Hi, my name is Robin Sheff, and I'm a parent of a New Braunfels High School sophomore. While I'm also outraged by SB 13 and its long-term implications for education and the educational system, I'm here tonight specifically to advocate for our libraries and to stand up for the educators being impacted by this decision. For example, despite multiple awards for innovative programs and continued professional development from state agencies, as she was referred to earlier, the great Oak Run librarian has been removed from her district lead position, impacting literally thousands of previous and future students. Libraries are not just rooms full of books. They're safe spaces where our kids discover who they are, where they belong, and how to think for themselves. By closing libraries, you have told our students that fear supersedes understanding, and by leaving them closed, you've shown them that those safe spaces aren't valuable enough to defend.
All right, will Ray Briggs, please? If not, can I have speakers 36 through 40, please come forward, and Dietrich Hubbard? Good.
Good evening, thank you. I'm a father of 3 NBISD students currently, and the husband to a wonderful Oak Run Middle School teacher, Camilla Hubbard, in the audience here today. I'd like to say that I've also done some research, and I appreciate the audience here. I do not disagree that the book or books in question were obscene, and I would not like my middle school children or below to read them. However, that's my decision, not yours. I should be allowed to vet that. There is a process in place that this board agreed on. Let us and let it do its job. I would ask you, and I would say that this process is overarching, abusive, it is negligent, and I don't mind saying lazy. Let's do our jobs. Let's do the jobs you've been elected to do. Let's let the process work. Let us and let me parent my child.
All right, Gretchen Pruitt.
Good evening. My name is I'm the former director of the New Braunfels Public Library. I'm here tonight to ask that you reopen the secondary school libraries while you review the books in your libraries. Senate Bill 13 and House Bill 900 do not require closure during the review process. The argument that students can just use the public library instead of their own libraries is also not compelling. In 2019, the New Braunfels Public Library did a survey of our patrons and discovered that 97% of our patrons came to the library via automobile. Access to the library for children under the age of 16 relies on parents or other adults to drive them. Closing the school libraries denies many of the students access to any library and disproportionately impacts students in the lowest socioeconomic status. These same students benefit from using the library the most. There are many credible studies that show direct correlation between library usage and improved test scores and graduation rates. Librarians can already limit individual students' access at parent request. Please put our students' success first. Thank you.
All right, next is State Representative Carrie Isaac. All right. Terry Franks, Chief of Staff, State Representative Carrie Isaac.
He won't be here either. I'm speaking for them.
Mason Lemmy?
Yes, sir.
Lemmy, all right.
Hi, my name is Mason Lemmy. I'm from Huntington Beach, California, and I'm currently a student at Texas State University. Our children are the future of this country, need to be protected, whether it's at home, in the classroom, in the bathroom, even on social media. Pornographic books should not be anywhere near children, so for any of you up here, educators out there that stand for this evil trash or even silently allow this to be shown to children, you have failed this city. Any books like this should 100% be removed from kids sections everywhere. There is no neutrality, no middle ground, and no acceptable silence. There is good versus evil, so thank you guys for making that initial decision. Also, in a generation where kids are on their phones 24/7, you expect me to believe when these people say their kids are furious when the library is closed? You can literally get an ebook of anything and physical copies on Amazon. Also, go read Matthew 18:6. If you believe in God, check your heart. If you don't, you better get right because the king is coming back soon. One book I saw is Tricks by Ellen Hopkins. Page 532, he is a predator now, no fight left in me. Fuck me, kill me, don't care, he wants both. His penis stabs me and I scream. I was young at the time and didn't understand it. Yeah, go check out Matthew 18:6. So that's a gnarly verse, but it's true. There's that book if you guys want to pass that down.
All right. Can we have speakers 41 through 45 please line up? And could we have Olivia Miller, Legislative Director for State Representative Carrie Isaac?
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. My name is Olivia Miller. I'm the Legislative Director for Representative Carrie Isaac, and I will be reading a statement on her behalf tonight. Thank you, board members, for your steadfast commitment to protecting our children by ensuring they are not exposed to adult material in schools. SB 13 defines harmful, indecent, or profane content as material that appeals to prurient interests, is patently offensive, or lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value for minors. This legislation was a necessary step to safeguard our students, as such content has no place in their education. Your efforts to enforce these standards are vital, and we commend your diligence. Please continue to be thorough and complete this critical work. Exposing children to patently offensive material based on contemporary community standards is not protected by our Constitution. Protecting our children is of the utmost importance, and we trust you to uphold these values. Thank you.
Christy Arredondo.
Hi, I'm Christy Arredondo, and I have 3 children that attend NBISD. So first of all, thank you for your time tonight, but I do request that we reopen the libraries immediately. We can do that and still work to comply with the law. It's widely known that it's impossible for school districts to implement SB 13 immediately, yet we're one of the very few to close our doors. And honestly, we don't have a book problem, we have a critical thinking problem. Society lacks critical thinking skills, and so many people take things at face value instead of understanding. To comply with the new law, we should review our books, but in the entirety and as a whole, not just one passage. Reading just one passage is face value and not using the critical thinking skills. And most of these books, they are targeted to older teenagers who must learn about the real world one day. If 17 or 18 isn't old enough, then when? I love that we get an email now letting us know what our children checked out, but let us be parents, let us use literature to prepare them for adulthood. Please reopen our libraries and show our children that critical thinking can prevail in a complex world. Thank you.
Matthew Latico.
Good evening, Board Trustees. My name is Matthew Lightco, and I'm the father of two young men who attend Oak Run Middle School. I'm here this evening to respectfully ask you to reopen our secondary school libraries while you go through your process of ensuring compliance with SB 13. SB 13 does not require libraries to close. Our district was already following the requirements laid out by the bill, and the closure of our libraries has done nothing but disrupt our students' day-to-day school life. Our libraries are not the problem. They are part of the solution. You can review materials responsibly without denying students access to learning. Please reopen our libraries and show that this district stands for literacy, education, and trust in our educators. Every student, every day. Thank you.
Travis Tidwell.
My name is Travis Tidwell, and I'm here this evening to express my profound disappointment with the board's decision to close our secondary school libraries. There are over 1,200 school districts in Texas, yet NBISD is the only one in the state that feels compelled to shut down the libraries to comply with SB 13. In fact, nowhere does SB 13 say that you must do the actions that you've taken. The communication that you sent out to parents last week has caused even more concern. You say that the closure is temporary, but you provide no timetable for reopening. You state that a committee will be set up to advise the superintendent, but we don't know who these people will be or what their credentials are. We have no idea what the review criteria will be for this process. Laws that are on poor constitutional footing are often written to be intentionally vague so that people will comply in advance. The creators of this bill left it for you to interpret, to test to see if you would self-censor, and you passed their test, but in doing so, you failed our kids.
Would speakers 46 through 48 please come forward? And would Jay Behrens?
Good evening. My name is Jay Behrens. I have two young children here. I'm here on behalf of, as a parent, as a deeply concerned parent, regarding the sexually explicit content available to our children. But before we dive into anything, more importantly, I ask you all to think back about how you go through a library. You don't just walk up and pick a book off the shelf and take it to the librarian. You usually open the book up, you read a synopsis, you read a few sentences, and then you decide whether or not you want to get it. You cannot remove exposure to some of this explicit content. Once you are exposed, you will forever have that ingrained in your mind. So whatever needs to be done, we need to take into account that our young children are being exposed to content without our consent, regardless of whether or not they check the book out, because they can surely have access to it currently. Now, I agree with each and every one of you. The libraries need to be opened expediently, but we need common sense policies put in place to limit the chance of our children being exposed to these. Thank you.
All right, Hugh Bromley, and then Jennifer Marlowe. Oh, Hugh, okay.
My name's Hugh Bromley, and I'm a grandparent of 4 children in this school district. Superintendent Arterbury and the trustees, thank you for allowing debate on this very important subject. The process for screening books has obvious shortcomings if certain books continue to remain available to children. The question before us is whether some of these books are appropriate for the young children. Books containing graphic descriptions of sexual acts, books that describe the rape of minors should not be a part of a child's academic education. There's no sensible justification as to how such literature could benefit the intellectual and emotional development of young children. Common sense dictates that pornographic literature is not a good educational offering for minors and should be removed so that the library can be reopened as many people have requested. Thank you.
And then we have Jennifer Marlowe.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Marlowe, and I am the proud parent of a 2025 New Braunfels High School graduate, as well as a sophomore at New Braunfels High School and an 8th grader at Oak Run. I'm here to voice support for reopening our secondary school libraries and giving our children back their access to books as soon as possible. The American Library Association has stated that across this country, in schools with effective library programs, those students learn more, get better grades, and score higher on standardized tests. They also state that school libraries serve to bridge the gap in terms of equitable access to books, especially for students who may not have access anywhere else. None of this can be achieved, however, when we've shuttered the doors to our libraries, even temporarily. A library is not a threat. It is a promise to our children that we value their curiosity, their knowledge, exploration, and connections that they find in the pages of a good book. Please vote to give our students back all the resources afforded to them in a fair, appropriate public education, and that you continue to lend your support and trust in every possible way to our dedicated librarians and teachers at NBISD. Thank you.
All right, at this time, this concludes our public comment portion of the agenda. At this time, the Board of Trustees will be reconvening an executive session as provided for in the Texas Government Code to discuss Item 2A, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071, attorney consultation regarding legal issues related to temporary suspension of student access to secondary libraries and library materials. The time is 7:53 p.m.
Session to consult with attorneys.